This video is for any residential bricklayer that feels like they're powerless when it comes to the prices they're charging for their work, and they're feeling like they're getting their prices dictated to from the builders. And that's actually happening a lot at the moment. And bricklayers need to be really careful and analyse their business practices to make sure they don't get caught in a really vicious cycle. So what I'm going to talk about is why this is happening at the moment and what you can do to get around it. Because there's no point in putting yourself in risk and in financial hardship to give a discount. So what's actually happening at the moment is there is a supply issue when it comes to the amount of work. We're only doing about 2/3 of the work across Australia that was happening about 2 years ago. So there's been a reduction in the work. So we're getting told that it's a supply and demand issue and that there's a less supply of the work to spread across the amount of tradesmen that are there. So therefore, there's an opportunity for people to go in and be more price competitive. But that's not actually what's happening. The actual case is that the financial situation with a lot of building companies at the moment is, yes, they're being more and more price competitive when they're doing contracts with potential clients. But at the moment, money is expensive. So for a building company to get an overdraft or get finance to run their business, it's very, very expensive. And when it comes to the supply of materials, you can't get ongoing credit. A building company cannot get 90 days or 100 days credit with their suppliers anymore. It doesn't matter if a builder owes $100,000 or $10 at the supplier. If it gets to 30 days, they're cut off. So the only place at the moment that a building company can actually try and squeeze how much more money they can make out of a particular contract is to squeeze it out of the contractor. This is a really dangerous place for the contractor to be in, and bricklayers especially, because we do 95% of our work for building companies. We don't do a lot of work for the end client. We do it mostly for the builder, that is the middleman. So in this particular situation, you have to know exactly what it costs to run your business. Everyone has a different running cost to run their business. But the only place that you can reduce your running costs as a bricklaying business owner is you can't reduce the cost to run your truck to work. You can't reduce the cost of registration. You can't reduce the cost of anything that is your insurances or anything. Those things are fixed operational expenses. The only place you end up reducing your costs is you have to get either cheaper labor, the people that work for you, that are your employees, you need to get them at a cheaper hourly rate to be able to make a bit more money. Or what ends up happening is you don't end up paying yourself enough, you don't end up paying yourself correctly, or you end up going into debt with the tax department, with the superannuation firms, all of those other things that you're deferring your bills because you're not actually earning enough on each job to cover everything for that job. In a situation like that, you have to say no to the price that you're being told to work for, because there's no point in you putting yourself in a financially bad position to give that builder a discount just so you've got some work to do. You're better off saying, no, go and work for someone else. Don't take on that job. Go back to wages yourself. Go and drive a truck. Don't get involved in it, because if you're involved in it, it's a race to the bottom. And that particular client that you're working for, or the builder you're working for, they're immediately going to turn around on the next job and go, well, you did it for that price last job, so you can do it for that price this job. And you're caught in a race to the bottom that you can never get back up. And if you're not making profit on your jobs moving forward, you'll never be able to pay off those debts that you've incurred to take on work that there was no profit in. Please don't get involved in this. Say no to the work, because just because they're a client or a builder that you worked for beforehand, if they're asking you to work for prices that are below your running costs, they're not a client that you want now. I'm Andy Shaw. I'm from the Bricklayers Association Australia, where we protect and we advocate for bricklayers. and fight for justice for bricklayers. If this is something that sparked your interest, please share it around with all the other bricklayers that we know. We're an association, we're getting the word out there to try and stop this stuff from happening, and bricklayers have got the power to do something about this. We just need to say no and not work for below our running costs. Look after yourself, guys. Have a great weekend.